Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another Channel 11. Out of nowhere, out of left field, we're here with another Channel 11. What's up, Billy?
Wow, another Channel 11. Yeah, I'm really excited about this particular issue, man. It's a
Issue. Like I called it an issue.
yeah, it's a serious issue. But I'm excited to talk about it. We were supposed to have Frankie on today, but Frankie was because he's doing so many things. He's running a skate park. It turned out it slipped his mind. He was running a DGK event at his skate park. So it's a competition, and we're gonna get him next week though. So we're really excited to have Frankie for next week. So everyone, please don't forget to join us for that. We normally announce it a day before, but now there's a week's notice before our guest. So
No excuses.
Be there to tune in. It's gonna be awesome. So right on this episode today, me and Austin are gonna talk about flat versus anti. I've been skating anti for most of my whole skating life, so I'm a huge defender of that, but I also like to talk about these things, so it'll be cool to talk about. But first, I got to do my spiel. Please, if you don't already, follow us on all of our social media platforms. Go to our Facebook, give us a like. Go to our Instagram, give us a follow. Go to our YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you like what you're hearing, please leave a comment, share. It's all very helpful for us. We have an iTunes. You can go to our iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, give us a review, and that also helps us a lot with boosting us to the top of the charts. And we also have a Patreon. If you want to be a member of our Patreon community, you can be a Patreon for as little as $3 a month. When you become a Patreon, you get access to all of our exclusive content. We just put out some new Inside Outs. We have some new section reviews that Austin and I were doing. We have section reviews with our guests. We have all different kinds of things. And when you become a Patreon, you're also automatically entered for a free drawing every month to win something for free from our online store. That could be one of our new shirts, tank tops, 5-panel hats, a mug. And we just got some new stuff to the store. So check it out if you're considering being a Patreon. And to everyone who is a Patreon, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we like Billy said, we uploaded 2 of the Patreon videos that we were talking about last week, where we watched our top 10 video sections, our top 10 favorite video sections. We just put the second part up today. Some people were having issues with Patreon. I think Patreon and Vimeo are kind of figuring out their deal because Vimeo links directly through Patreon. But I've been told from a few people that if you watch it on the browser, web browser on a computer, it works better than on the mobile app. So anyone who's having problems with that, try checking that out. We're doing our best to get all these things sorted out. But thank you to all our Patreon supporters about that. Before we get into this discussion, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for this episode, Blank. As we said before, check out that new Blank Sean Keen Pro Model skate. I finally set mine up now, and I'm loving my skate, so I'm sure you guys are going to love it also. Now we have the re-release, so there's more sizes available. More specifically, they have sizes 6 to 10.5. That's US sizes, and then 12 and 12.5. So anybody who has a bigger foot or a smaller foot than from before, and now you have the chance of actually buying the skate. So they're available worldwide at your favorite skate shops. Check them out on Instagram. Give them a follow at Blank Rolling Products. And check out their website for more info on the skate if you're interested. BlankRollingProducts.com. Thank you, Blank, for sponsoring this episode.
Also, so as you may know or may not, this year's BPSO, which is the 7th BPSO, I'm going to be taking over hosting the event. We're doing it at a new location. Just announced last week, we're doing it at Coleman Skate Park in the Lower East Side. Under the Manhattan Bridge. So we're going to be building new obstacles there. We're going to have tables there. We're going to have inline and quad events. It's going to be huge. It's going to be awesome. So that's September 3rd, Labor Day weekend, this September 3rd. So make your plans, get your trips together. It's going to be absolutely incredible. So got all the Mesmer guys are coming in from Europe too. So everyone's coming to town. A ton of other people are coming into town. I heard Parker from them is going to be there. So it's gonna be a cool event, so definitely check it out.
It's always a good turnout at the Pope-Off, and it's going to be a nice little refresh now having it at a different park rather than 181st, how it always is. And the Pope-Off always goes off. It always goes off at the Pope-Off. So
that's right.
Yeah, be sure to check it out. I'm happy I'm free that weekend since it got slightly rescheduled, but I'll be there too. So it's going to be a fun time. Everyone show face. Definitely. Check it out.
It's going to be cool.
Yeah. So we are here to talk about a very, as Billy mentioned before, a controversial topic. Might not be so controversial, though. It's more opinionated, I guess, as we say with these Channel 11s. These are our opinions on everything. So we're happy to hear your opinions as well and thoughts. So feel free to join the live chat, or if you're watching afterwards, feel free to join the YouTube chat and let us know what you think as well. But with that being said, I feel like we just have to elaborate on what flat and anti-rocker is, just for people who don't really know or really new to the skating scene. Pretty much, aggressive skates have 4 wheels on them. As of now, they have 4 wheels. Who knows what they're going to have in a few years from now?
Well, exactly. You know, there's wizard skating, but I think that's outside of the traditional. So generally, each skate has 4 wheels. Yep.
Yeah, so 4 wheels. If you're flat, that means all 4 wheels are the same size. All 4 wheels are flat on the ground. If you're anti-rocker, it means you have 2 bigger wheels on the outside and 2 smaller wheels, which are called anti-rockers, in the middle for the second and third wheel. The benefit to that overall is just so that it's easier for you to grind. But there are pros and cons to both of them, which we are going to discuss now, along with personal experiences of both, and maybe a few other different rocker setups as well. But
yeah, I think it might be worth noting that there's also freestyle, which means there's like 2 wheels, the front wheel and the back wheel, and then the second and the third wheel have blocks in them, or no wheels at all.
Yeah.
And then there'll be tri-rocker, which is 3 wheels that touch the ground and 1 small wheel. Or no wheel. So there's all these different variations, and I think we're just going to talk about the differences between flat and anti today. Before we get started, I think this kind of conversation is worthy of a disclaimer. This is an opinion-based topic. Everyone has their own opinion. I think everyone should respect everyone else's options. I mean, me personally, I don't care how anyone else skates. Whatever works best for you. Like, if you want to skate 1 wheel on the skate, I don't know how you would make that work, but I would support it if
single
it
rocker.
was single rocker. if it's what worked for you. But yeah, I think it'll be cool to discuss like the differences, and we could talk maybe a bit about our history in how we've developed and evolved and gotten into different things. So how did you start, Austin? I'm curious to know.
I pretty much did it all. I never did tri-rocker. That never really interested me, but I think I started off, when we all started off, we rode flat pretty much for the most part. When I started off, I was 8 years old, so I had a size 3 skate, which means it was like tiny. And then I remember I had to go anti-rocker for a while. So I did anti-rocker for a few years, back to flat, and then anti-rocker for like another 10 years or so. And then starting like 2015-ish, I've been riding flat. I had like a whole theory on why I wanted to switch to flat, because it was kind of, flat's more popular nowadays than it was, the last 10, 15 years or so. But I switched back to flat around 2015. So I've been on them for a while now, like 7 years or so. And I'm loving it now. There's a ton of benefits, and I'm even expanding into other realms as well. Like you said, wizard skating with different rockers and stuff like that, which we'll get into more complicated stuff later. But for the most part, as of now, I am a flat rocker skater, and I love it. And I know you were anti-rocker forever until recently, right?
Yeah. Okay, so let me talk about, because you said at yours, like, I think everyone started flat. I didn't with aggressive start flat. I mean, I was rollerblading on regular rec skates, and then my friend gave me a pair of like his old hockey skates, which were hockey skates. And then I saw my first video, and I realized because I didn't have the aggressive skates, if I wanted to like grind, my friend Mike, he was like, yo, you got to get mini wheels, you got to get like midgets is what he called it. And I was like, all right, cool. So I got like the Kryptonics from like Sports Authority, or it was like Champ Sports and in the mall. And I put them on. So that was like my first grind from right when I started. I was skating anti.
Oh,
and
you never had like a take the middle wheels out of like a rec blade or anything? Because I actually did that too.
No. Oh, well, okay. Like, no, but I never did that. Like, I literally went from that to anti. So I was skating anti my entire time skating until like 2003. I got sponsored by Physics. And then like everyone was like, oh, Physics, like, Physics was a frame company that had like suspension frames that it was each wheel. So each wheel had like a rocker arm that was basically gave some suspension to the frame. So like the whole thing is like, if you skated for Physics, they were like, you have to skate flat because like it's the suspension experience, right?
Yeah.
So I skated flat during that time. But personally, I didn't. During that time was like the least favorite of my skating style. Like, you know what I mean? Like during that time, like I hate
Because of
like I was
that?
skating. I don't know if it's because of that or because I wasn't developed, but like during like I skated for like the Closer video with Dustin Holleran. I was skating physics flat, and the physics video I was skating physics flat, and I was just like, I don't really love my skate. I don't know. And then like I stopped skating for physics. I went back to anti, and I skated anti the whole time. I've just recently switched to skating flat, like because I've got some basically frames that I wanted to test out that are like good for riding flat. So I wanted to like see the experience myself, and I've just been like, taking advantage of the experience. But I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a flat skater now.
Yeah.
Like I keep
You're still
telling everyone
struggling.
like, no, I'm fine with that actually. I'm like I'm getting used to everything, and I'm like doing like trying to do torques and all those things, and like figure so I don't lose things from the anti. But like I do like the freedom of anti. But it's funny. Like I think a lot of the times like there that maybe some people who are like hardcore flat or like this way, they don't really see what the benefit could be in anti. And I do think there are benefit, and it opens doors that you can't open all the time when skating flat. Like it
I
really
agree.
does. So yeah, and I think it's both for both cases. So it's like, which one do you kind of want to like? For me, ultimately, and I've been saying this for a while, I was like, I want to do one flat setup, one anti setup. You know what I mean? Like when I go to like the bowls with Miguel, or so I could have like something like that, or just certain spots that like could call for it more. And then just like the anti, like I don't know, I was like skating a spot recently, and I was like, oh man, it looks really fun, but it was like the kind of stuff that there were like fatter things that like, do you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
could
yeah.
get in there more with anti. I mean, you can do it with flat, but you might hear those squeaks sometimes.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? So I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I completely agree with you on all that, by the way. It's like flat definitely has a place, but there's like a fine margin. You have to be way more precise kind of with your tricks. And even though I've been riding flat for years now, even so, when I still do tricks or skate a fat obstacle or something like that, it's still in the back of my mind. Like I have to focus on it to get low to make sure I don't get any
Right.
wheel bite or anything like that. There's ways around it. I mean, for a while, I rode different durometer wheels on the inside and outside. So flat rock are all 58 millimeters, but I was riding 88A on the outside and 95A in the middle. So softer on the outside, harder in the middle. So
Okay. So what does that mean to just in case someone's watching the show and doesn't understand
yeah.
what that means?
So the soft wheels on the outside, hard wheels in the middle, they're all flat, all the same size. The benefit that I was getting out of it was you have the grip on the outside wheels so that even though you're carving around, cutting up, you still have a grip. You're not sliding all over the place, which you do get with harder wheels, especially at like skate parks where it's a lot smoother. But you have the hard wheels in the middle, which if you do get wheel bite or your wheels clip on a rail, a ledge, whatever it is, they're way more forgiving to slide. If you have all flat rocker 88A, which is like a softer wheel, you're gonna completely grip, get the squeak, and just front flip over the ledge or rail, whatever you're skating. So I did that for years, and it was awesome. And then another added benefit to that, which I didn't even consider, was that since the outside wheels are softer, they wear down faster than the middle wheels. So it kind of gave a natural like banana rocker kind of feel to it, and that added also to like being able to turn really fast, which is a benefit generally of flat rocker skating, but it was even more emphasized with that particular setup. So like there are ways around getting serious wheel bite, and I rarely ever got wheel bite with that. But still in the back of my mind, I always wanted to get really low on tricks if it was like a fat obstacle or a sticky obstacle or something like that. So you do have that. It all depends on the type of skating that you do too, or the type of skater that you are. I mean, some people get super low on tricks, some people don't. So,
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of factors, even with like frames, like the split system of the frames in the middle between the second and third wheel. Like obviously that affects it too. Certain frames are just better for it, and
Yeah.
it's a million different factors to talk about here, but that's what we're going to kind of discuss and feel out throughout this episode. So
Yeah. No. And I think obviously the frame is relevant. Like because there are certain frames that you could skate flat and you have just as much space as maybe someone who's skating anti could have.
yeah,
but yeah, for me, like, I don't know, I found that just like in certain eras of skating, it was really beneficial to like have like remember all that like cess slide on the ledges
Yeah,
era and
yeah.
stuff,
The
like,
hurricanes and
like
stuff.
the hurricanes and
Yeah.
stuff, and like, I mean, that's like a whole world,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And there's just like whole, and there are just some things I think, when you're having fun, it's when you're skating, you should be like, oh, like the most confident you can be when approaching certain obstacles, and you don't want to be like, oh, like, yeah, am I gonna the wheel bite, like, or stuff like that.
Confidence
So
helps a lot.
yeah, so like, I don't know, and also just like okay, for example, I've been skating flat recently, right?
Hmm.
And so Bellino kind of like, convinced me to do it, and he's like, come on, bro, try it, whatever. And I was like, you know what, okay, I will try it. And then I was trying it, and I was like, what about the front torques? Do we not do those, or do we like? And so we're like trying to learn them on the flat, and like we were like semi-successfully doing them on like these ledges, but like just what I've learned is it's just like you don't have like, you have to like color within the lines, if that makes sense. You don't have like all like this abstract, like some of these, like you have to do like the trick, like kind of, I don't know, that
Perfect.
you don't have as much room to like play around on it and like add those like little things, not like specifically for torque, like, do
Hmm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like again, that
Fast
like,
slides are rough too.
yeah,
I
but
would
then again, like
imagine.
I was just with John, and he like fast slid this rail like
Oh, okay.
on, so you can do it, but I mean, like, for me, I'm just like, man, I want to like be in this more playful, comforty zone sometimes, and
Yeah.
other times like I'm skating flat, and I'm just like, oh, cool, I'm getting these benefits of the rolling aspects. Like, you could ride on rough surfaces and not have to worry as much, or
Hmm.
so I don't know. It's
Yeah.
it's a give and a take.
I feel like when you're older too, you want the rolling aspect of skating to be as easy as possible, which personally, that's like my opinion on it. Like I'm
Yeah.
appreciating way more rolling around at the skate park, rolling from spot to spot, stuff like that, which back in the day, obviously we used to ride like, just for example, like 50 millimeter anti-rocker and skate around the city all day for 10 hours, and it would wear down to like pretty much on the bearings, and we didn't care back then. We were just little kids. But now I would prefer a smoother ride, like a faster wheel, stuff
Yeah.
like that makes
No,
sense.
exactly. Like, okay, well, first I had a lot of like my friends my age, like trying to be like, oh yeah, like, you should skate flat, Bill. Like, you're getting older. Like, first of all, I'm just gonna say, I don't even know why anyone worries about what anyone else skates. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah, it's
even know
true.
why that's a thing.
Yeah.
Just like whatever works for you is like,
Yeah.
that's, I don't know, but that's the first, like, come on, man, you should try flat, or you should. And I'm just like, dude, like, exactly your point. I'm older. I can't change now. Like, you know what I mean? You want me to change like way late in the game and like to like figure this whole thing out? So, but it's been, I got to admit, when I'm trying them on some fluid five frames, which are really good for flat, in my
Hmm.
opinion. And I'm skating some like orange wheels that are like 55 millimeter wheels. So it's like, they're not like, when I was skating flat, like back in the day, I was skating 57s flat, and it was
Yeah.
like different, and like with good frames and like not a huge wheel, it's like it's not that much of a difference, but there are aspects where it's there.
Yeah, that's a perfect point you make too about the wheel size too, because when I made the transition from anti-rocker to flat, I did it like gradually. I had a Create Originals frame, which is generally a pretty good frame for a flat rocker, and I rode 55 flat. So I was like taking it easy, like 55 is generally a small wheel, especially nowadays. But
Yep.
small wheels, you get to like, there's a little more leeway on it, and then you kind of go up from there. I went like to 56s and then 58s, and now I ride 60s flat, and I still almost never get wheel bite. And that transition definitely helps. I feel a lot of people get discouraged by going straight from like an anti-rocker setup to flat 60 millimeters, 62, whatever comes on skates nowadays, which is like a big jump, like you're probably
Yeah.
going to get wheel bite and be discouraged a lot. I know a lot of people have been jumping into like Aeons and still beginning wheel bite who grew up skating anti-rocker their whole life. So it's like a matter of like the transition phase, how you do it, just to be cautious of it. Like, did you
Yeah.
have any specific moments where you like got wheel bite, or like, wow, I really have to think now for this particular trick, not including the
Oh,
front torque?
oh yeah, man. Like, well, like I gotta. Actually, I got a funny story.
Let's hear it.
I will tell. Like, okay, I was actually going to ask you because I wanted to follow up on something with you, but I'll hold on to it.
Okay.
So yeah, with me, when I just started skating physics frames flat, I wasn't like as consciously aware of like the difference, you know. And I just remember we were skating a rail. Um, it was in Escondido. It's called corner rail. Like it was in the Razors video Closer. Whoever is, you know, older and has seen that. And I just went really fast up to like front torque this rail, and I with like supreme confidence, like right on top of it.
Ooh.
And I remember just getting stuck, and I was so on top of the rail, I body rolled on the rail. Like I literally went like landed on my shoulder, and then kept flipping, like landed on my back, landed on my other shoulder, and like landed. I just like rolled on the rail, and I was like, ugh, on the floor, like wow. So that made me aware of it.
Wake
and
up call
no,
right there.
Even recently when I just first I first switched to flat, and it was like my first day skating flat again, and I was like just feeling good and like okay, I'm feeling comfortable, and I just went to like back rail, this really small ledge. It was like this tall and like aluminum at the skate park, and I went really fast, and my not the backslide foot on my back rail, but the front foot just like pressed, and I went stuck and went straight to my shoulder on this little tiny thing at the skate park. So I mean,
that's what I feel like people have the hardest part about too, because I had the same thing too. Like I said, I almost never get stuck on grinds or riding flat rocker, but I remember when I switched to flat rocker, even in the 55s, I went and I sold like a curb or a stair or something like that, like the bottom stair of a set of stairs. And because it's so low, you don't think about it, you know, it's just super natural. You just like cruise up, like super cash, soul grind, and that front foot, the front side foot, wheel bite, same thing, flip forward and ate so much shit. And somebody else, I can't remember who, but somebody else told me recently they did the same exact thing. Soul grind on the curb and flipped. And I was like,
oh no,
shit.
That was actually me.
Was that you? Okay. Oh yeah, it was you. Okay.
Yeah, it was at the E-Money thing. I just went to like top soul to soul. Me and like Sam DeAngelis and I were skating this, the ledge at the BPSO, and it's kind of chunky. So I just went to soul, and I was just like relaxed and comfortable. And then when I locked on like my soul, you get used to that. But again, it's like, you know, what do you want? Like, I think I really, truly, I mean, want both. I've never been in the position to be like, oh, I have both. Because every time I have a pair of skates, like, you know, I kind of go through them, you know, and if I'm skating a lot, pretty quick, you know. So I haven't been able to be like, oh, I have two nice setups with anti and flat. And it's too much of a pain to like switch it all the time. Yeah. But it's something I think I'm going to eventually do, because I do like there are some frustrating things when skating anti too, because when I'm skating like really steep bowls with Miguel, and I see him carve these turns, and then I'll try to carve those turns and I can't get him the same way. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, there's kind of like this debate, like that we're kind of talking about the points of it now between flat and anti, but there's so many different ways to like approach this thing. It's like I don't know. I don't think there's not a right or wrong way to do it. But you definitely feel like in each, like sometimes like the setbacks, or like, like, you know, I wish, and it's, you know, they're still going through all this like frame technology to find out like what's the best, like the best of both worlds, if you could, like, you know, but it's skating's still super new, man. Like it, you know, the whole anti thing started from skateboard wheels on, you know, like Arlo trying to figure out how to make that space and put like little small skateboard wheels in, shoved them in the frame, and made it a thing, and that revolutionized how to do tricks. And now we've pulled back, and it's been a wild ride.
Yeah,
wild ride.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because we should have touched on that also, like the history of it, I guess, because obviously naturally you start off aggressive inline skating, four wheels, like it's been like that for however long inline skating's been around. And then, like you said, we've had guests on the show too. Chris Edwards talked about it. Arlo Eisenberg spoke about it. Brooke Howard Smith, I think, talked about it also. Like, they were just like, we got to do something better. And then they crammed skinny skateboard wheels at the time, crammed them in their frames, and that's what worked. And then they just, I guess, made Senate wheels or whatever at that point, at that era. But yeah, that's how it got started. I saw a few people in the comments also mention that too. So it's good that you touched on that, Billy. But I feel like I actually wanted to go back to an anti-rocker setup just to kind of test it out a little bit, you know, like either figure out that I really hate it and I want to stay with flat, or like just give it a shot again, because there is like that freedom of like feet kind of feeling with that, just being able to slash a front side on something and not have to worry about anything, or like a fast slide attempt. Not that I could do fast slides, but like, whatever it is. And I've been curious to try to go back to an anti-rocker setup.
Okay, so if I may, this kind of brings me back to what I wanted to ask you about before, because you were talking about how you went from 55 to 57, 58 to 60. And I think anyone who has been watching your skating lately has noticed like you've kind of evolved in the way that you've been skating due to your new setup. You're doing like a lot of these like swivelly, swishy, like a lot of rolling centric tricks before like a grind that is technical and kind of like traditional. So the question I have for you is, I've seen you've picked up things because of flat and you've been able to adapt and evolve in that way. Have you lost things? Because I do remember you, someone who's grown up skating with you for a long time, to be like, you were a big torque guy for a while, a big deep Farfanugan guy, like leaned in. Like, are these things that have like honestly affected, like, has it affected that in any way? Do you have like a little less confidence to like where you like go up to a ledge and like maybe charge it full supreme confidence, like do this, or do you second guess now, wondering where you're at there?
Yeah, 100%. Like with that, the clips you're talking about are me skating in the 80 millimeter Aeon skates, which definitely I'm having a ton of fun in 80 millimeter wheels. It's something I'd never really done before in my 26 years of skating. So I'm having a ton of fun with that. But yeah, like for sure, my tricks are definitely limited. I could pretty much do, I think, every trick if I really concentrated on it, but generally for the most part I'm just like cruising around, and you don't want to have to think about what tricks you're doing sometimes when you're cruising around a skate park. You just do a bunch of lines or whatever. So I've grown to know which tricks I'm capable of doing without dying on, for the most part. But I can do Farfagnugans, I can do certain tricks, I can do topside still. I just had to think a little more. It's kind of like just like the same transition from anti-rocker to flat. Like you have to think a little bit more, but it's still possible to do. It's not as pleasant though, I will tell you that. I can do them, but they're not pleasant. So I rarely do them, and it does, but it's kind of like any weakness makes you think more in other directions. It's like when you have an injury, if you hurt your left ankle, you don't rely on that foot for tricks. You start doing tricks in the other foot. It's pretty similar to that too. Like I found a crutch, but I'm like using it to my benefit to try new things, which is also part of the whole swivelly stuff that you mentioned before. So I'm capable of doing it a lot harder, and I'm smarter, and I know when and when not to do those particular tricks. So
yeah, I like that comparison that you brought up. Like, if you get hurt, then you have to like figure out different ways to do things or how to work around it. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Like, and which is kind of why I was like willing to try to skate flat, because like, okay, I've been skating this way for so long, and I'm trying to. There's still so much to explore within that, but I want to see if I could explore outside for a little bit, leave my comfort zone for a while, and see what there is. Every time like a friend, like an OG, like anti friend, he's like, "Oh, you're skating flat now." I'm just like, just for a little bit. I'm gonna come back and all this stuff. But like, you see, like I always use as a point of reference, like some of like the best skaters who do skate anti, they do all they can somehow it seems like they can get it all done anyway, because you look at Alex Roscoe, you look at Vinnie Minton, you look at Frankie, you look at Sean Darst, and like all these guys, and Mark Moreno, and like these people who've been skating flat like so good for so long, and yeah, I don't. It seemed to be like a hang up, and they're skating just as fast. They're doing just so. I don't know. I guess you'd have to ask them personally, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the skater. Like you mentioned it too, Alex Brosco, he skates anti-rocker, but he still can do the swivels. He does all the slides, which I've spoken to people who are like, like wizard connoisseurs and stuff like that, and still don't understand how he does that stuff in anti-rocker. So he's just like a wizard on skates in general. So, I mean, that's kind of your answer right there, but not everybody's the same. And when I switched from anti-rocker to flat, I was like, I figured it made you think a little more, which is a good thing, but like you have to get lower on tricks, which isn't necessarily quote the best style, but it's like kind of what I wanted to do. Like I felt like generally for my tricks, lower looks a little better, a little cleaner on tricks, and certain switch ups is a little easier. So I figured it would make me think a little more in that aspect as well. And Yeah, it's some people are just wizards on skates. All I gotta say. Like I don't know how some people pull it off, but that's what I'm scared about going to anti-rocker and being like, oh shit, I lost everything again. Or it will make me think differently, and I'll learn a whole new set of tricks that I never had before. So you never know.
All right, I'm going to take this conversation on a turn.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'm taking it on a turn. Have you ever skated freestyle?
Oh hell yeah, the murder block days.
You skated them during the murder block days?
Yeah, well, I mean, like how we said before, I think in the 90s it was a thing because there wasn't many aggressive skates out. So I had rec blades, and you would just naturally take the middle wheels out, and that's how you would grind back in the day, you know? It was, I had like whatever Blade Runner rec blades, and then you take the middle wheels out. You try grind on curb, you crack your frame in 2 days, and that's it. But besides that, the murder block days, yeah, like when ground controls first came out or whatever, and Mike Johnson came out with the murder block, which was, I think, the first freestyle frame. Am I wrong in saying that? I mean, I could be wrong, but who knows?
No, you are correct. That is the first.
And that was like when we used to skate the Battery Park benches in the city, like the really fat ones, and like the the murder blocks were money for that. It was like such a good time to be skating that.
I gotta say that was because I like the murder skate came with like the murder block and like complete with all that, like the jug liner.
Yep.
So yeah, it had like that was a 2 wheels per skate with the murder block, right? And it was like grinding and was such like all the switch ups were all so new, like and all like the big switch up grinding ledges, like grinding. It was so grind centric rollerblading at that time.
Yeah.
And like fast slides were kind of just coming out and all this stuff. So man, yeah, that was a really fun time for grinding. Like, you know what I mean? You were just kind of, it wasn't really about, I think as like Dominic pointed out in like an earlier episode, it wasn't like really about like how you skated up to the trick or how you landed off the trick at that time. It was more what was happening on the trick. So the grind or being able to slide was a big deal, you know?
Yeah, it was, that's funny you mentioned the Dominic Sagona podcast that we had a few episodes back, which was the main reason why I started skating the way I do now with the 80 millimeter wheels, because I always wanted to try to improve my general skating a little bit. But like when we had Sagona on, he was like, you spend most of the time on the ground. Why wouldn't you finesse that part of your skating? And I was like, that hit me like real hard. And I'm like, damn, yo, he's right. And that was right around the time when I started skating completely differently. I switched to the bigger wheels. I started doing the swivelly stuff. But besides that, back to the freestyle stuff, I remember skating freestyle. I probably only skated freestyle for like a year or two, but I had like the murder blocks and wore the frame completely through. Like it was a frowny face. Like I wore the hell out of those skates. And then I don't remember what like the turning point was, but like I had to go back to anti-rocker. I was like, this was all fun for the time. You know, hurricanes were popular, like you mentioned before. It was like a natural progression from the freestyle frames to be able to swivel like a hurricane. But I was like, I need that like support in the middle again. And I switched back to anti-rocker, and that's when I skated anti for like 10, 12 years, whatever. But like having even the anti-rocker middle wheels in, even though they're not hitting the ground, it's still a lot of support for keeping you on a ledge, keeping you on a rail. Even when you're bashing stairs, like skating a down rail, you want like, those wheels in the middle.
That was the worst part of it.
Freestyle? That
was the worst part about freestyle.
Any down rails?
It wasn't even like the holding you in place, because if you had the groove enough, you'd be fine. But it was like if you were skating a down rail, you came off early. There was no stopping. You land on like the middle part of the stair and you keep sliding. You would slide on everything. When you didn't want to slide, when you wanted to stop, you wanted some support. You were just like...
You were holding onto the rail for dear life. I remember that going down like Stadium, like that 15 stair rail, like missing a trick down there, like especially at the bottom when you're picking up a lot of speed. Like I remember just holding onto the rail for dear life, like because your feet are just like ice skates, you know? That was a funny thing to talk about.
That being said, you know, freestyle is still... Dude, I gotta say, when I was skating those, man, the confidence I would go and like front torque or fast slide like things. It was so like, you know, like I don't know, man, like you just knew you were gonna be good. So yeah, that's cool too.
That was the only time in my career that I had fast slides, when I had freestyle frames. I had the freestyle Kaiser suspension frames. They were like whatever. They had the UHMW H block, massive.
Oh my God, those things were a mess, though.
They were a mess. I will give you that.
I'm sorry, dude. I mean, I remember when you skated those.
Yeah.
And they seemed like they worked pretty well, but they were they just looked all sorts of like out of control. Like no offense to
that was
to anyone over there.
skating was crazy at that time. Just think about all the skates
was.
in that era too. If you like look back, I'm not going to point any out. Maybe we'll save that for another episode, if anything. But everything in skating was a completely different style, which was cool at the time, I guess. But looking back on it now, it's like how we used to wear Jinkos and shit like that. Like, it's embarrassing. I used to spike my hair when I was in junior high school. That's embarrassing now looking back on it. So we learn from our past.
I always think, am I going to look back now and be embarrassed? And
of course you are. Of course.
If history shows anything, it's going to be yes, but because it seems. But I don't know. Everything comes around full circle. It's interesting.
It does. And yeah, but the freestyle frames. Someone mentioned in the comments, who was it just now? Bobby Blues, who said he thinks that Dustin Latimer was responsible for the freestyle frame. I wouldn't say that he's responsible for it, but aside from the murder block, I think he was responsible for the Mook frames, which were the first fully produced freestyle frame, which Caltech makes a very similar frame now. It's pretty much just like an A in the middle. There's no axles for the second and third wheel. Straight freestyle frame. If I'm not mistaken, that might be the only freestyle frame available on the market now. I could be wrong. Someone correct me if I am. But yeah, Dustin definitely put that to use. And at a time when his skating was on another level, he killed those freestyle frames.
Bro, I completely forgot about the Mook frame.
How can you forget about the Mook frame?
I completely forgot it. Bro, a Mook frame on a shadow skate is just such. It's so grind centric. It's just this is for grinding.
Big souls.
That's sliding. It's for sliding. It's for grinding. But yeah, I mean, I'm thinking back on it now, and it's funny because I forgot about the Mook. But dude, a lot of the goats skated freestyle.
Who else can you think about?
Farmer.
Yeah.
Farmer skated the Mooks.
Yeah.
Murda,
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's weird.
Well, all you need is DL. I mean, I just watched his accidental machine section, which is I believe his last section ever, and he didn't go all crazy, but he skated on another style of skating with those freestyle Mook frames, and maybe there should be more freestyle frames out there, because I'm sure the way people are skating now, there's so much more shit you could do with a freestyle frame like that compared to how it was 15 years ago.
Wow, new technology in the freestyle frames, just huge wheels like this, like a big, some another level, because you can get all the grip on the big wheel. Who knows, man? It's that's the thing about blading and blade technology. It's still so young that you could just come up with things that are new and different. It just happens so much in with the frames, and you look at what Kyle Sola did with even the them buckle, where you just turn it upside down and it goes high or low, just simple things like that are just obviously brilliant designs from Kyle, but I mean it's so who knows, that you could make a very different freestyle frame in the future. Who knows? Could go back to 2 wheels per skate.
Well, one wheel, like you spoke about earlier. Who knows? The unicycle skates could come out.
Physics, I don't know if physics will, but I mean, we'll see. Maybe.
Well,
one tall.
Yeah, I feel like we are in a more experimental phase of skating right now, because there's so much, especially with 3D printing technology. So many people are making aluminum frames, metal frames. I think I don't know the technical process behind it, but it might be a little easier to make an aluminum frame one-off than a plastic frame one-off from a manufacturer's perspective. But there's so many different types of frames out there now. This is the last 5 years or so have been that experimental time in skating, where we played it safe for so many years. It was just, this is the frame, this is the size wheel it gets. You might be able to change the H-block, you might not, and that's it. But now there's so many options between the different materials, the amount of wheels you have in there, the rockering. We might look back on this now and laugh at it also, like you said, but there's so many options out there for so many people. There's no reason why you can't find something that fits you.
Yeah, I mean, I want multiple setups. That's where I'm
ideally
headed. That's my direction, because I've already I'm a few months into skating flat again, and there are most things are fine, and most things I'm okay, I can figure this out, I can adapt and be conscious. But there are just some other percentage things I'm man, I really want to play on that, on some anti-flame, that's just what I want to do right now, so I see myself, that's my future ahead. That's what I'm going to say. So
you don't have multiple setups now? You own a
No.
skate company. You should have like everything.
No, because when I'm done with the pair, they're either destroyed or I give them away. You know.
Yeah.
But
Off the
I should now though. I should now though at this point. But
You might
we
as
gotta,
well.
you know, I feel bad we're still too early for me to take too much stuff.
I
You know?
guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this has almost nothing to do with what we're talking about now. I was just curious though, but I guess like you are someone who's always had like worked in skates, like beat up skates, like that was always your thing. Like I rarely see you in fresh skates. Do you still do that now that you have a skate company?
No.
Always
see,
fresh?
Yeah, the reason why I did that back in the day is just because I don't know, like I was always skating like hand me downs. I was just like one of
Yeah,
those
you
kids.
were.
Like someone would be like, "Yo, I got express skates." I'm like, "Where? Let me get them." They'd be like 2 sizes too big. I'd be
Yeah.
skating them, and so like my like.
But even when you were
When I w-
sponsored, you always had like a worked pair of skates. Like I feel like you've said that you've liked really worn in skates compared to like a new pair of skates.
Yeah, well, you know what? Well, that's another thing. Like, I really like skating, like, but I really don't like working on skates.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really annoying to me to like get the wheel and the bearing and pop it out and
Yep.
dig on the thing. Oh my god, I hate it. So I'll just like basically get the skate set up and just like run them into the ground and then just like try to fix it one time and then just run them into the ground. You know,
Yeah.
like, and especially back then, I was going skating a lot harder, so I was like kind of tearing through skates a lot, like like
Sure.
cess sliding things that were like you didn't need to, like just like one spot would just like destroy your
Yeah.
skates, kind of like skating. But so yeah, no, skates last longer for me now. Like I mean,
A lot of
I
skate
had
parks, I
like
guess, too.
yeah, I had like the prototype pair of Mesmers, and then I had like one pair of Mesmers like the whole time until just like a month ago, because I was like, you know what, my skates are looking kind of beat up. I should make a new pair now, like, and
Yeah.
so yeah, it's yeah, no, I try now to, I'm not skating like as abusively on the skates,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, but generally I'm not like one who like spends a lot of time setting my skates up. I'm like, oh, I got time to skate, grab my skates, I go, like, you know what I mean? I don't sit there, I'm not that conscious in that way.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you with that. Like, my least favorite aspect of skating is changing skate parts. I wish, like,
Yeah.
I had somebody to do that for me, or like you said, just whip out a fresh pair of skates and everything's good to go like that. Like, but I also
Blade
don't-
mechanic. We
Yeah.
need blade mechanics,
We
man.
do need
Just
blade
sitting like
mechanics.
in the back of the shop with like a greasy like rag. Like, let me see your skates. Like, put it on the vice grip like a bike shop,
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
like set it up.
But
yeah.
I have invested in a bearing press recently, and it changed the game for me. I can't believe that I've gone this long in skating without having a bearing press. Somebody had it at the skate park recently, and I'm scratching my head. I'm like, I've been doing this shit long enough. I can invest in like a $50 press, like with all the years
Yeah.
I've been skating, that's like a couple bucks a year. And I'm telling you, it changed everything. I'm like not scared to change my wheels and bearings now. I clean my bearings now, which is the complete opposite. I still don't really enjoy it, but it's not my favorite part of skating by any means. But anybody
Yeah.
out there, invest in a bearing press if you're changing your wheels and shit that much.
Yeah, definitely. It's like
We owe it to ourselves.
yeah, definitely.
We got to catch a break once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. It's just but yeah, totally. That is a frustrating part, but whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Ultimately, what about you? Do you think you'll ever go back to Auntie, or?
Yeah. I don't think I will, but I definitely want to try it out again. I'm like you're talking about with all these different skate setups. Like I've never had so many pair of skates in my whole life. I have like a 90 millimeter Wizard setup. I have like a blank setup with like a Create Original frame, suspension frames. I have a Them 909 skate with this metal Solar frames on it. So like I have so many options. Each kind of have like their own purpose, but I wouldn't mind having like an anti-rocker setup again. I need to get my hands on some anti-rockers again. It's been a while since I've owned a set, but yeah, like I want to give it a shot and see what the anti-rocker shit's all about. It might be just a really specific thing that I would use it for, but even if it's that, just to go back and experience it again, because it'll probably be like a refresh how going from anti-rocker to flat after like 15 years was for me. It'd just be the opposite way. So I want to give it a shot. And I think in general, skating changes so much and evolves that like there's a big flat movement now, but 10 years from now, it could just go back the opposite way. It could go back to freestyle, could be like the best shit in 2030, who knows? So
Well, yeah, because what'll happen is someone will maybe open some doors,
yeah,
like in that way, like that will be because I think skating goes through those trends, right?
exactly.
And like there are those like the trends in fashion and the trends in what's popular and what to skate. Like, sometimes it'll be like there's your hammer era and
Yeah,
your hurricane slide era, which will provoke the more anti rocker skating. Then there's a swivel era, and these little just points of growth that we go through. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it'll ever go back to like this era anti this, but I just see it being more of a nuanced future, like with Wizard in there
yeah.
and like huge wheels, which that was something I didn't see coming, like from a million miles away. I was like, and it's just like such a big part of our thing now. So it's like incorporated really well by like some of like our best dudes, including yourself. So, um, yeah, it's at a good place right now. But that's what I think. That's my prediction.
I would love to see like in 10 years from now, Wizard making a freestyle frame. That would be kind of ironic, but I'm sure they would innovate the crap out of that somehow, some way. I don't know. I'm just speculating here, people. I love my Wizard frames the way they are, but that's just like, the complete opposite direction. Who knows? They were making Wizard frames, 10 years ago when people were still riding mostly anti-rocker and freestyle and shit. So I don't know. I'm just saying shit changes in skating. 10 years ago, we never thought that people would be rocking these 5-wheel frames now and shit. So you never know what's going to happen. 10 years from now, what do you guys think? 10 years from now, speculating, is flat still going to be like the majority of skaters? Is freestyle? Is there going to be some new shit coming out? Like, you don't know.
No wheels. It's not gonna be wheels.
We're going to float like Back to the Future?
It's gonna be like hoverboards.
Hoverblades?
No, it's not. That's not gonna happen.
I would rock a pair of hoverblades, would you? They would grind like sled dogs with no frame.
I mean, yeah, if they function in a good way, that'd be cool. Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I'm kind of I'm kind of at a loss, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's where I stand on the I don't know if I have anything more to contribute to the conversation, to be honest.
So final thoughts, Billy. What do you have to say about what we just spoke about?
Yeah, final thoughts.
One that on the final thoughts.
Well, some of my final thoughts is, do what makes you happy. I know some people, there are some like pretty strict flat guys that say like, oh, if it's not flat, it doesn't count. That's not true. And that's not true. And don't worry about, and just don't worry about anyone skating other than your own. And skating's about fun, and I'm just trying to have all the different kinds of fun I can have. It hasn't brought me to 80 millimeters yet, to be honest. I feel too tall when I'm on those things. I like being a little closer to the ground. But, just I've been having fun lately skating flat, and I plan on definitely skating anti because that's like such a big part of my skating and how it's been for a long time. And yeah, just like, for like experiment, see what works for you, play around if you can, if you have the resources, have like a few setups and just get out there and play. And yeah, my final thoughts is skating is fun. So just try to have fun with skating, and that's what it's all about. So what about you? What are your final thoughts?
That's a good one. Final thoughts. Skating is fun. I like that one. My final thoughts. I guess, yeah, there is no right or wrong way to skate, but I do feel like everybody should at least experiment with one or the other. Try an anti-rocker setup, try a flat rocker setup, try a big wheel flat rocker setup. It changes the way you skate. You could like it, you could not like it, whatever it is. But I feel like when I made the transition to flat rocker in the beginning with 55s, it opened the door and changed the way I skate now. It took a few years for it to happen, but it did change the way. So I'm excited to possibly take a step in the other direction by going back to anti-rocker maybe or freestyle and see what else there is. But I just feel like everybody should experiment. There's so much shit out there now. Give it a shot. Give anti-rocker a shot. Give freestyle a shot. Give flat rocker a shot and see where it takes you. You could like something that you never knew you would have thought liking. So that's my final thoughts. And skating is fun.
And on top of it, skating primarily is about fun.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us for another Channel 11. Who would have thought we'd done back-to-back Channel 11 debuts? This is incredible. But
I didn't see it coming.
I didn't
And
see
we
it
got
coming.
Frankie coming on next week.
Exactly.
So I'm really excited about that.
Exactly. So stay tuned for that one. Leo, let us know in the comments what do you think. What do you think on flat versus anti? What are you riding now? I feel like more people ride flat now, but let us know in the comments too. And let us know also what other Channel 11s you would like to hear us talk about, because we have some ideas now, but we're open to suggestions. We're here for the people. So we want to hear what you guys think as well. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next week with Frankie Morales, the man, the legend, Frankie Morales.
And of course, shout out to our sponsor, Blank
Rolling Products. Look out for the new Sean Keen Pro Model Skate, available worldwide at your local favorite skate shop. We'll all see you next week. Peace.